Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Joe Tophat. As many of you know, I'm a huge fan of Ghostbusters. I've done quite a bit of videos on the cartoon. So, for today's video, I'd like to showcase my collection of the comics. For the record, I'm well aware I'm showing off books and not actual comic books. It's just that these days I find it easier to collect comics and these trade paperback books since they take up way less space. I've been a huge fan of the real Ghostbusters since I was a kid. I used to watch the cartoon all the time on old VHS tapes that my brother recorded. They had other cartoons on them, but I would skip over all of them just to watch the real Ghostbusters. Anyway, the first in my collection are these trade paperbacks of the real Ghostbuster comics. These were specifically the ones done by Now. Later on they were done by Marvel, but I unfortunately don't own any like that. These are pretty cool, like they have the guys right there, and they have an introduction. And I did own a issue or two of the Now comics way back in the day. Sadly, most of them have been destroyed. I didn't have the foresight to take better care of them. These are kind of fun comics to read when you're a little kid. The color is kind of dull, I guess. They're not as bright as the cartoon was. I don't know if that's the most appropriate word to use, but just look at it. Most of the comics I've read were not really adaptations from the cartoon. There were a few that were. The one comic I did own that was an adaptation of an episode was the Citizen Ghost episode. I wish I have it, but like I said, I don't. You see, like, they have Samhain. Boy, he looks freaky. One thing I'm kind of disappointed about these books is that the comics included letters to the editor and the editor's response, as well as fans' photos they would share in the comics. See, before the internet, if you wanted to share your photos with the world, you sent them to these comic books, and they would publish them, and they don't have any of that. They just have the stories themselves. Yeah, these are all published by IDW. They're a great line for licensed characters. And so far, they've only published these 2 volumes of the real Ghostbusters. I don't know why they haven't done the rest yet. They just haven't, I guess. One comic I wish I have, but sadly don't, is the one that explains what Slimer was when he was a human being. In that issue, he was supposed to be a king, and his name was Slimer spelled backwards. Guess Rimless. I think his name was Rimless. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The next in line is a collection of comics that were published back in the early 2000s. This selection is stuff I don't particularly care for. And let's see what the first story is. Oh, The Other Side. If I remember correctly, this is the one where the Ghostbusters get killed. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, they had a violent death. If this is the right one. But kind of like how they have them look more like the actors from the movie than the cartoon ever did. Yeah, you see, like, Peter gets possessed by a ghost and has the others killed. Quite a violent death, too, because look right there, they were killed by gangsters. Well, gangster ghost, that is. And they have, right there, they're full of holes. It just really wasn't my favorite. But it was kind of funny in this storyline. They interact with the ghost of J. Edgar Hoover. For those of you who don't remember, they reference J. Edgar Hoover in the movie where Peter was like, oh, I get it now. If we think of J. Edgar Hoover would come and destroy us all. And another interesting thing I find in this story is that it features an old girlfriend of Winston. And it's kind of a cute story, you know. They never did a lot with Winston in the movies. Oh yeah, this also had some holiday issues, like, let's see now, Valentine's Day, Tainted Love. The artwork is okay, you know, I can't really complain too much. This also has a Halloween issue, but that's not it. Yeah, what in the Samhain just happened, and before any of you start to thinking it's not the Samhain of the cartoon, it was some magician ghost, which I find really disappointing. But let's see now. What was like the scene in here I thought was kind of cool. Let's see if I could find it. Well, Janine was more or less the Ghostbuster in this issue. The guys didn't take the job. I believe this is where Dan Schoenen started to draw for the characters. Yeah, this looks like his work. I love Dan Schoenen's art for the Ghostbusters. He really makes them look like the characters. Here it is. You see, they have like the Lonesome Ghost, Teen Wolf. It looks like Peter Venkman with the wolf on his head. The wolf from Tex Avery, that is. pretty cool. I always loved Dan Schoening because he would include those Easter eggs. Here's the Thanksgiving issue. Yeah. Oh no, not this one. Ghostbusters Past, Present, and Future. Linkara did a video reviewing this entire comic, but the gist of it is that it's basically an adaptation of A Christmas Carol where the ghost of Christmas Present was the villain. These comics were meh at best and at worst, but it's good to have it as part of my collection. If the last book I showed you was a collection of the worst Ghostbuster comics, these 9 trade paperbacks are a collection of the best comics. These were written by Eric Burnham and drawn by Dan Schoening. Oh my god, these comics are awesome. I dreamt about comics like this for Ghostbusters when I was a kid, and sadly, I never got them until many years later. These were more or less a continuation of the movies and the video game. And as I said previously, Dan Schoening was known for including Easter eggs in these comics. Yep, you see all the guys. If I remember correctly, this is a dream Ray is having. Yeah, they're on some type of game show. The Janine Show. Yep. He's dreaming about Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But what I like about this is that they have Ray dream about John Belushi from Blues Brothers. And for those of you who don't know, originally Ghostbusters was to co-star John Belushi, and sadly he passed away, but it had been confirmed that Slimer is more or less John Belushi. A fun way of incorporating the actor into the movies, and it's kind of funny how in the cartoon, Slimer ended up being like the mascot for the whole thing, and even the star. And as kid-friendly as he was, John Belushi, for those of you who don't know, was known for doing drugs, so it's kind of funny that he ended up being a kid's character. Oh, look at Slimer right there. Oh boy. Oh man, this artwork is gorgeous. If they ever did a Netflix series, an animated one that is, they need to use Dan Schoening's designs. I like how they have them from the commercial and the movie. And oh, there's Winston. You gotta have Winston. Good boy. Oh yeah, they feature Kylie as Ray's assistant, who works with him at the cult bookstore. I love how they kept that in the comics. And in general, I hated the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon. But I admit I always liked Kylie. Yeah, I personally would have gotten rid of all the others and kept Kylie. Yeah, if there was only one character from that cartoon they could use, she was the best one. From the mayor's office and the movie. And though recently they said that the video game is non-canon, I say that's bullcrap because it fits so well with the movies. In these comics, they feature the new mayor from the video game, who was voiced by Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's older brother. And they even have Peacock with Walter Peck in charge. Yeah, this is a series of comics where the Ghostbusters travel across America to bust ghosts. Yeah, they have Mad Anthony Wayne. Oh, look, the blues musicians from the cartoon. That's pretty awesome. This is the storyline where they meet Melanie Ortez. She would be very important later on. Just for the record, she's an FBI agent. They're in the painting from the second movie. I don't care what anyone says. The second movie is great. This volume they established a rival company against the Ghostbusters called the Ghost Smashers. For those of you who don't know, Ghost Smashers was to be the original title for the movie. And this was started by a guy who was turned down to be a member of the Ghostbusters. Yeah, his name is Ron Alexander. See if I can find him. Vigo and Janos. That's Janine's new boyfriend, Roger. He looks an awful lot like Egon from the cartoon. I guess she's attracted to Egon no matter what. Here he is. I tend to think of Ron Alexander as a more crooked version of Peter, and everyone who works for Ron Alexander's a woman. And it was here where they meet Jenny Moran. Her appearance is based on Donna Dixon, Dan Aykroyd's wife. And here Jenny and Ray have a relationship. It's kind of cute. You know. There's Winston with his fiancée. Sorry. But now from the movie poster. Yeah, it's like the symbol's giving a high five. Now, this right here is by far my favorite collection in this series. It's basically about the Ghostbusters get trapped in another dimension, and Janine, Kylie, Melanie, and Ron Alexander have to pick up the slack, so to speak. They're trying to find the Ghostbusters, but they still have to do their job. Yep, Ron Alexander ended up in jail. I hated the 2016 movie. Not because they were women. It just wasn't done well. It felt like they were redoing the first movie poorly and just say, yep, this is the new movie, you gotta love it because the stars are women, and if you don't like it, you're sexist. If that's the only defense you have on the movie, it's a pretty weak one. If you like the 2016 movie, more power to you, but it was not done well, and I wish the originals were in it, not as those stupid cameos. I hated those cameos. But to me, this is the way the movie should have been, and originally they were supposed to be a team of all female Ghostbusters. Jenny Moran was to be in Ron Alexander's place, but the reason why they went with Ron Alexander is because he built all the equipment for the Ghost Smashers, and they figured he had the knowledge to fix up the equipment. So it was a story decision. But Jack Hardemeyer is in charge of this group. Yeah, they have the ladies wear shorty shorts. And it leads to my favorite part is where they point out to Jack Hardemeyer that their legs got all cuts and bruises, and they wanted to wear long pants, but he had them in storage, and Janine threatens to go on a talk show he booked and declare he is a sexist pig. And he asks, would you like it if I put Ron Alexander in hot pants? And Janine's like, no. It's really funny. I love this cover. It's not based on anything from the movies, but it's supposed to have been like a series of photos they were taken for a calendar and publicity. Yeah, and Tophat letting go of Jack Hardemeyer. Yeah, you're basically just seeing them do the jobs. And even have like a few that weren't drawn by Dan Schoen, and don't like the art as much. The infamous train scene. I'll just kind of breeze on by these. Oh, these are the holiday ones. Yeah. They go through like Halloween, Christmas. I think they even did Day of the Dead. And New Year's. Oh boy, is that freaky. Yeah. They feature Sinterklaas. Not Santa Claus, Sinterklaas. He's not jolly in the least. Would you want to sit on his lap? Not me. I'll take Santa Claus any day. Yeah, like Melanie goes back to the FBI, and sometimes she would fill in as a Ghostbuster. It was a nice way of introducing new characters. Yeah. Now we get to the last two in this series. Fun fact that for the longest time they were forbidden from using Dana Barrett and Louis Tully. I'm not really sure why, but they were, and finally they got to use them. Both of these are one story. You see the logo from the first movie and the logo from the second. Dana and Louis. Oh, I forgot to mention that the rookie Ghostbuster is also a regular character. He's in charge of their Chicago branch. Yeah, there he is with Winston, Ron Alexander, Peter, Melanie. There's Kylie, Ray, Janine, and Egon. Yeah, this more or less starts off with Dana having a problem. Oh, and it also has Winston's wedding. Yeah, really nice that he got married. Yeah, originally she did not want to talk to Peter, so she talked to some others, like Janine right there. Good old Lewis. Walter Peck with Peter. Yeah, this all leads to something big. Ooh boy, she don't look good. From the cartoon. Now for the final issue. She looks exactly like Donna Dixon, or with Ray. I love their relationship. It's nice seeing Ray find love. But sadly, this was the end of the series. I'm not really sure why they discontinued it, but they did. Maybe, looks like from the music video. Just because they were done with the regular series didn't mean that IDW was done with Ghostbusters. This is another favorite of mine, simply because it has the guys from the cartoon interact with the guys from the movie, so to speak. It's called Ghostbusters Get Real, or Get Real Ghostbusters. I love how it looks exactly like the logo for the cartoon. Yeah, each one of them has the cover similar to this, and I love Slimer's like, what the? Yeah, they basically have to deal with this god character right there. And there was a scene where Janine actually mistaken this Egon for Roger. Well, look. It's the guy from the Slimer Come Home episode. And there are the characters from Extreme Ghostbusters, Kylie and the others. Oh look, Cartoon Ray is holding the movie PKE meter. Pretty awesome. Now here is Ghostbusters International, 2-volume series. As the title suggests, they go to different countries to bust ghosts. They are hired by this dude right here. He's basically kind of crooked. Big surprise, and yeah, this storyline that Egon gets an injured leg and he can't go on the trip with the others. So he just stays home and takes care of business there. Kind of like little photos of their trip. And here is like part 2 of that. A non-Dan Shonen issue. It's always kind of jarring when they do different artists. Get used to see, like, that's obviously Dan Shonen, and yep, someone else. Believe it or not, Walter Peck actually straps on the proton pack and helps take care of an issue because one of these guys happened to be a friend of his. Yeah, who would have thought he'd do something nice? Oh yeah, and they also have, like, the cartoon Egon come. Because the real Egon ended up trapped in another dimension. So, cartoon Egon has to help them out. Because he's the only one smart enough who can. Unfortunately, Jenny Moran ends up in ghost form in this issue. Yeah, see? You know, it's kind of like that scene where not Peter, but Ray dreamt of being, well, with that ghost. Oop. I guess he has a thing for ghosts. But these are a great continuation of that series I love so much. The final comics I have to show in my collection are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meeting the Ghostbusters, Volume 1 and 2. Volume 2 is the only one I have that's not a trade paperback. These are actual comics, and I haven't gotten around to reading them because in order to understand this, I have to have read some of the Ninja Turtles comics. And I do own many of the trade paperbacks of the IDW series. And as soon as I finish reading those, I'll get to this. So this is the only one I'm not going to show off because, like I said, I haven't read it. But if I was obsessed with Ghostbusters as a kid, I was equally obsessed with Ninja Turtles. So seeing this pairing was a dream come true. This should definitely be a movie. They have different artists draw the Turtle comics, but when they meet with the Ghostbusters, it's all drawn by Dan Schoenen. Gosh, it's a lot of fun seeing these guys together. April and Janine. I'm surprised nobody has licensed to adapt these comics into like little movies or little specials for Netflix. They're that good. Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, as drawn by Kevin Eastman. I love this cover so much. But, you know, every one of these comics is worth checking out. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.